Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Central Virginia has an award-winning rodeo arena right at the home of the State Fair of Virginia. Here's how you can keep strawberry season going another few months. And students in several Virginia school districts are enjoying a cool lunchtime beverage.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Eagle Point Farm in Hanover County. This working horse farm is one of hundreds across the Old Dominion, and the equine industry is a valuable part of Virginia's history and culture. Burke Moeller shows us another side of the horse industry, the rodeo.
With the popularity of Yellowstone and other TV shows like it, there's been a renewed interest in the Western way of life. Here at the Meadow Event Park in Central Virginia, organizers are taking full advantage of the so-called Yellowstone effect and are using it to connect people to agriculture.
Let's go!
A little mud couldn't dampen the excitement of watching a bull rider try to make it to the 8-second mark at a recent rodeo at the Meadow Event Park in Caroline County. An afternoon rain shower left plenty of visible mist under the lights by the time evening arrived. But rodeo fans young and old had plenty to cheer for. This rodeo is run by Revenge Roughstock Company, and they've been holding events at the Meadow Event Park since the summer of 2000.
As soon as tickets were available, they were gone, overnight almost. And it kind of seemed like the area really liked what we were doing, and we kind of wanted to give everybody that peace of mind, but Western heritage brought back to the area.
Even though rodeos have only started coming here recently, the Meadow Event Park has been recognized as a top spot on the circuit.
Meadow Event Park received the 2022 Rodeo of the Year Award, which is voted on by the American Roughstock Association and all of their participants and cowboys and cowgirls of all of the sites and rodeos and locations that they go to and participate and compete in.
Rodeo is the Spanish word for roundup or go around, and the sport has roots in both Spanish and Mexican cultures. According to the Texas State Historical Association, Anglo and Spanish-Mexican cultures began to mix in the 1800s, creating the Southwest cattle industry. Social gatherings such as 4th of July celebrations led to cowboys from nearby ranches challenging each other's riding and roping skills.
And then somewhere along the lines, the bull riding came into effect. And I think that was probably a tiebreaker thing back then, where they were roping calves and then breaking horses, and everybody was tied, and they said, well, I can get on that bull. I'm crazy enough to do it, and did it. And so that became another sport, and it evolved into this big competition.
Tyler Crank is a cowboy from Texas who traveled to the Meadow Event Park for the rodeo that was featured in last year's State Fair of Virginia. He normally rides bulls, but not this time.
I got stepped on in the bull ride, and I drew the same bull I drew down in Lafayette, Alabama, at the beginning of the year in the IPRA, and just stepped on the back of my leg and broke my leg.
A broken leg isn't enough to stop him from participating, although he would only ride bareback horses.
You can't lie, cheat, steal your way in a rodeo. You can't say somebody you're not. You can't show up and try to act like somebody you're not. You have to show up and show out. And there's no liars that get by the rest of them. If you're going to be great, people are going to see you be great, and that's what it is. You really got to put it all out there to be somebody.
Rodeo is a sport born from agriculture. In the western U.S., wild horses were once plentiful, and cowboys had to learn how to break them. Then, as the cattle industry grew, cowboys had to learn to herd and rope their livestock. And while these skills have evolved, the connection to agriculture in all of its forms, has stayed the same.
We need farmers to produce the crops so that we can get grain and hay to these horses and the livestock. I mean, it's really important for us to feed them really well. These things make our money for us. So, I mean, we got to feed them as good as we can. That way they perform as good as they can. You know what I mean? Agriculture is everything in the rodeo industry. They go hand in hand.
Agricultural feeds us. It's very important to keep it alive, to be able to feed us and keep the land going, to be able to be good for the crops and whatnot. I mean, without agriculture, we ain't eating.
It's everything to me. I mean, I'm a thoroughbred trainer too. That's my main job. And so for me, to preserve agriculture, we lose farms, you lose the ground and stuff like that. We don't get feed. We don't have stuff to take care of our horses properly. We lose quality feed and stuff for them to take care of them. So for me, it's huge.
These cowboys and cowgirls are continuing a rodeo tradition that dates back centuries. And with popular culture taking notice of the sport once again, there's sure to be interest in rodeo for years to come. In Caroline County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
Virginia has a robust horse industry. While some horses are raised for racing, the majority of them are used for pleasure riding. According to a 2018 study by the American Horse Council, more than 10% of Virginia households participate in trail riding. The Virginia Horse Industry Board reports there are more than 183,000 horses in the Old Dominion in 2021, and the overall equine industry contributes $2 billion to the state's economy. Thanks in part to an active Colonial Downs racetrack in New Kent County, horse racing and breeding contributes more than $542 million to the industry.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, I'm going to talk about amaryllis year-round, so stay with us.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
Amaryllis bulbs make popular gifts in the winter, but as Mark Viette shows us, they can also be beautiful additions to your outdoor plantings in the garden.
You know, it's not Christmas. It's hot out. And I've learned to use amaryllis year-round in the garden, especially in the spring and the summer and the fall. And I'm surrounded here by fantastic blooming amaryllis, and this is red velvet here, and it is a great variety. So most of us, you know, either get amaryllis in pots, or we get them in a bulb with no growth and we pot them up, or you get them dipped in wax. But amaryllis, I have found, love the heat. They love the heat like daylilies that we have in some of our gardens. The hotter it is, the better they do. And many of us get a bulb without growth, but you can even see these I never potted. They're starting to grow. They're starting to bloom, and here they're coming into bloom. Now, in the past, we have potted in our containers amaryllis, and we kind of space them out where they're not clustered. But one of the things that I learned about designing in the garden is to sort of group together or cluster plants or things together so they give you what you see here, a great impact. So Dad planted these, and he put about maybe six bulbs in each of these containers. In the past, we put them around the sides, had annuals growing in them, but we clustered them as you see here. And remember, there's different types of colors of amaryllis, but I love the reds. So, if you put them in your garden and you have a mild winter, here in the Shenandoah Valley, we cover them with a cloth, and they usually come back every year. But as you get into Williamsburg and Poquoson and the warmer areas, you can plant them in the ground and you don't really get cold enough to affect them. Now, if you have them in containers, you do need to bring the bulbs in during the winter or cold months. But what do? You know, I showed you this bulb here, and it has 2 stems. Could very well, looks like there's a 3rd bud coming there. So the first stem has finished blooming, and what you're going to do is go through and remove the spent or finished flowers. So just come in and the flowers that have finished, just remove them, and if the whole stem like this is finished blooming, just cut them at the base, just like this. And I'm looking here, here's another one. Here's another one. And there's new bulbs coming up right here, and new bulbs coming up there. So let's look at this one here and clean it up because there's new blooms coming. So every week you just go through and prune off the flowers. And next week, you're going to have more stems that are going to come just like you see here. Here is a new stem. You're going to have more stems that are going to continue to bloom. Now, what we've put around these amaryllis are annuals, especially annuals like the petunias, or even what we have here is the sweet potato vine. They hang down on the containers. They're going to weep downward on the containers. But remember, amaryllis really are just not a holiday or a Christmas flower. They're a year-round bulb that you can enjoy in many months or during many months around your home. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley. Coming up on Heart of the Home, pickled strawberries. We hope you'll stay with us.
Our cow, she walks into the barn and she gets milked. Milk's taken from her and put through a chiller. And that milk's taken from body temperature of a cow, which is about 102.5, and dropped to 35 degrees and put straight onto a tractor trailer. And it goes straight to the plant the next day. So most of the milk that's sitting on your store shelves is probably less than 48 hours old. And that's a pretty good testament to how efficient we are.
Strawberry season ends in early summer, but Chef Tammy Brawley has a trick up her sleeve to help you enjoy fresh strawberries for months in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Welcome to Heart of the Home. Today I'm going to show you guys something to do with those last of the season strawberries. We're actually going to pickle them. I love doing pickling, but the great thing about this recipe is that we're actually going to use some savory ingredients as well. We're going to use some peppercorns, some ginger, some basil, and some thyme. First you want to start though in a pot of to simmer of some vinegar and water, which I've already mixed together. We're going to put that in our pot. We're going to add some sugar to that. We're going to add about a teaspoon or so of ginger, fresh ginger that I've already grated. Ginger is one of my favorite ingredients to work with. And we're going to add a teaspoon of peppercorns, whole peppercorns. We're going to let that come to a boil. I'm going to go ahead and whisk it a little bit. We're going to let it come to a boil. We're going to let the sugar dissolve, and then we're going to let it simmer for about 5 minutes. While that's going on, we're going to go ahead and get a wide mouth jar. We're going to add some strawberries that we've rinsed already, some beautiful strawberries. We're going to cut the tops off of them. And I actually do like to go into the core of the strawberry because that middle part can be somewhat bitter. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to just toss it into the jar. You don't have to cut them in half, but if they're kind of big, I think it's a good idea. I'm going to add those to the canning jar. And we're going to layer in some basil leaves, which I should have started there at the beginning. I'm going to add in some basil leaves, a few more strawberries, and then we're going to feed in some thyme sprigs. And when our mixture has simmered for about 5 minutes, we'll come back and pour the pickling liquid over the strawberries. All right, so our pickling liquid has simmered for about 5 minutes. Ginger, peppercorns, sugar, and water, and white vinegar. You can use other vinegars if you want, but the white just tends to be a little bit more subtle. But the great thing about the pickling liquid is that once your strawberries are ready, you can actually use it as a salad dressing. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to use a ladle, and we're going to put our pickling liquid over our strawberries in our jar with the basil and the thyme. I don't have a strainer right here. However, you could strain the solid ingredients out and add those, because we're not going to be using all of the pickling liquid. And now what you want is you want this to come to room temperature. Once it comes to room temperature, you can seal it with a lid, your lid's as such. Then you refrigerate it, and then in about 12 hours they will be ready. I do have a jar already ready, which I'm dying to taste. And once the strawberries are in the refrigerator for a while, they will last about a week or so, so you want to eat them fairly quickly. Once they start fermenting, that is something you would not want to eat. So these have been pickled now for about 12 hours. I'm going to go ahead and taste one on camera. I think this is delicious. Oh, incredible. Pickled strawberries, they can be used with beef as a side dish, or chicken, or a nice piece of pork. I'm Tammy Brawley with The Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Fresh Virginia strawberries were once so popular they were shipped by rail from the Tidewater region to expensive restaurants in New York City. Today, you can buy or pick your own fresh strawberries at farms all across the Old Dominion. It's one of the top crops for agritourism operations and officially kicks off the summer pick-your-own season. Strawberries are raised on almost 300 Virginia farms each year. Growers start planting next year's crop in the fall, laying irrigation lines and plastic covers to protect the plants until they bloom and bear fruit in April and May.
Children are drinking less milk at school these days. Barry Ridgway reports dairy farmers are helping to fund a way to compete with sports drinks and sodas on the lunch tray.
I drink milk like 4 or 5 times a week as opposed to like once a week, because this is better, it tastes better.
That's what the kids are saying at Louisa County High School, where they have installed new milk dispensers in the cafeteria with financial assistance from the Virginia State Dairymen's Association.
This is a really exciting opportunity for the Virginia State Dairymen. We see these dispensers as a way to make sure that we're providing the best product for today's children. It's a win-win for everybody. The kids get better tasting milk, schools have less waste, and we have kids who enjoy drinking milk every day.
With the dispensers, the milk tastes so much better. It holds its temperature and it's icy cold, and ice cold milk always tastes better. So I have found with the machine that not only have we gained some milk drinkers, but those kids that have always been milk drinkers are drinking more.
The dispenser has both white and chocolate milk and makes it easy for the students to get a fresh, healthy glass full.
So this is our milk dispenser. You can see that we keep it in these containers. It's dated. We maintain an out-of-date cycle. You know, that's how we keep track of the freshness of the milk. Product consistency and quality. It's the most important thing to us, and monitoring the shelf lives and the dates are the most important things for us. Of course, temperature on milk is another big key. We have temperatures here and then inside.
These new model milk dispensers have come a long way from the soggy cardboard cartons of the 1960s. They're the product of several years of research and design by dairy trade associations. For decades, the dairy industry has known milk was losing popularity with the next generation of consumers. This has both dairy farmers and the federal government concerned, because milk is one of the most nutritious products children can consume.
And we all know that kids outside of school are drinking soda and other beverages that are just full of calories and no nutrients. So at school, we want to make sure we get them for 2 meals a day, and we want to make sure that we get the most nutrient-dense beverage into them at that time.
The protein the kids need, they're growing kids, calcium, the vitamins, the minerals, all those things that kids need today are there in milk. While the other products aren't bad, none of them can really match up to what milk has to offer.
It's better than the cartons for sure. It's absolutely better than the cartons. And you know, there's more of a turnout to the milk dispenser than the cartons.
All positive comments about having the milk. Our athletes especially loved it because, you know, an 8-ounce glass of milk for, you know, a big athlete is not a lot. So those were the guys that were coming up and having several glasses of milk and leaving happy campers.
Modern milk dispensers like these are often found in hotels, and more importantly, on college campuses.
I have tried to make this cafeteria just kind of special for the kids and want to make it a little bit, you know, like a college experience maybe in certain ways.
So a lot of our kids are college bound, and when they go into our college campuses, that's what they see. So it gives them that grown-up feel.
Getting students to drink more milk even helps the school to fulfill federal school lunch guidelines, and they can offer free milk to students who bring their lunch as well.
Every school meal that we serve for reimbursement, we have to offer at least 8 fluid ounces of milk. This helps us meet those guidelines and actually get the kids to drink the milk.
And then there's the age-old question, white or chocolate?
The kids probably drink about 4 to 1 chocolate versus white. For every 10 gallons of chocolate, I'm doing 2.5 of white milk. They do a little bit of mixing, not very much. The kids are pretty set in their ways and picky.
The new dispensers are not only great for the schools, but also the Virginia economy. According to Paulson, the dairy industry is an important part of the state's farm economy. About 390 Virginia dairies produce 200 million gallons of milk per year, and the new dispensers are popular. There are now 13 of them in schools across the state, with several more in the works.
I would encourage any schools that are interested to reach out to the Dairy Alliance, the Virginia State Dairymen's Association. We have programs in place to help schools put these in at no cost to the school district.
A better way to serve milk in schools. It's a win for Virginia, the schools, the students, and parents who will know that their kids can drink more milk at school. In Louisa County, Virginia, this is Barry Ridgway reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Every spring and fall, Virginia farmers and other motorists nearly collide on rural roads. Sometimes these collisions can be dangerous or even fatal. Glenn Keller of Shenandoah County says when a car traveling 55 miles an hour suddenly meets much slower moving farm equipment, the odds of a collision shoot up.
It's pretty dangerous when you get out on the road because we have a lot of hills in this valley, blind hills where you don't know what may be coming on the other side of those hills. And when we move something wide like the piece of equipment behind me, we usually have an escort in front. But if the people don't pay attention to that, you have to be prepared to react pretty quick. We'll get to a blind hill and someone will follow you for a mile or so, and they finally get enough of it and want to go around, and they're usually upset and pick the wrong place.
Farm equipment operators are required to display a slow-moving vehicle emblem when they're on a public road. When you see that, or any farm vehicle, slow down. Give them plenty of space to do their job so you both can go home safely. This message brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation Safety Advisory Committee.
When the National FFA was founded more than 85 years ago,
the world was a much simpler place.
Our country was a simpler place.
It was a time when about a quarter of all Americans were engaged in agriculture.
A time when many farms still operated without electricity.
When a short trip to town actually meant a pretty long ride.
Times have changed. And agriculture has changed, offering new opportunities and careers in fields like business, education, production, and research.
That means FFA has changed too.
FFA makes a positive difference in the lives of students by developing their potential for premier leadership, personal growth, and career success through agricultural education.
We're strengthening American agriculture and providing our members with the skills needed to build healthy local communities, a strong nation, and a sustainable world.
Today, less than 2% of Americans are engaged in production agriculture, but our membership is at an all-time high.
And as we've grown, one thing has come to represent the pride we have in our organization.
It's not a song or a slogan or a flag.
It's a simple blue corduroy jacket.
Without it, I'm just one person. Just one voice.
But with it, I know that more than 500,000 others have my back.
That more than 500,000 others are helping me tackle some of the world's toughest challenges.
Like feeding the world, stewarding our natural resources, and finding solutions for agricultural sustainability.
And we're doing it together. With the help of our families, our teachers and supporters, we are learning to do,
doing to learn,
earning to live,
and living to serve through our local chapters and state associations and at our conventions and conferences.
By becoming thought leaders and advocates for what we know is right.
We are the next generation of agriculture, committed, passionate, and proud to be among those who feed the world.
Powered by our spirit, guided by our mission.
Symbolized by a simple blue corduroy jacket.
We are the next generation of agriculture.
It's our turn now.
Let's show the world what we can achieve together.
We are FFA.
We know that farmers don't always get a chance to hear from the folks who use their products in their homes and on their tables. So we visited the State Fair of Virginia to get some thoughts from our fairgoers on what it is that you do and how it impacts their lives every day.
People love to know where their food and fiber are coming from. They love to know who's producing it, how they're producing it, what it all goes into it. They love to know the family aspect, whether it's a multi-generation operation or it's a brand new young farmer or just a brand new farmer. They love to know everything about it. So we're really seeing a push for people to see, where their food and fiber comes from and how it's grown and why it's grown.
My name's Orlando Fleming, and I'm from Powhatan, Virginia. Powhatan's a wonderful county. I just want to say thank you to all the guys. We've got some wonderful farmers in Powhatan. We've got probably the best farmers in the world right here in Virginia. And we want to say thank you. We know it's a tough job. It's not a whole lot of big money rollers, but we want to thank you and God bless all of you guys.